everyone, Lou here. This year I decided to watch an anime called Kotaro Lives Alone. It's an anime series that debuted on Netflix around March of this year to some pretty high acclaim, especially from people who came from abusive childhoods, and it even received a live-action series as well. However, in this video we're going to answer the most obvious question surrounding Kotaro Lives Alone. What happened to his parents? Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched the anime or read the manga yet. Now, the anime obviously does answer this question. Kotaro's mother is dead and his father is legally not allowed to see him anymore due to his history of domestic violence and a restraining order preventing him from getting near Kotaro. However, I want to dive a little deeper and analyze further on what really happened to Kotaro's parents. Especially since there seems to be something deeper going on here that not even Kotaro understands because he's so young. So, let's start. First, we'll start with Kotaro's father because he seems to be the strangest of the two. We see from Kotaro that he was apparently a very good and loving man until Kotaro was around 3 or 4 when he started to become aggressive towards Kotaro and his mother. Now, it's possible he was acting kind to butter up Kotaro as a sort of manipulative tactic so his son is like on his side when he abuses his mother. But considering Kotaro barely knows what the heck comes after 6, I'm gonna doubt his father was that weirdly calculated towards his son. We also see he was actually quite the gentleman too, even teaching Kotaro about being selfless towards others by getting himself wet to keep others dry during the rain. However, in the manga we see this caring gentleman start to fade as we see him grow to be impatient around Kotaro. Judging by the fact that Kotaro knows when people are drunk and knows people let their guard down when they're drunk, I'm going to guess that it was Kotaro's father who became a heavy drinker at some point, and eventually this drinking would bring about a very aggressive side of him to a point where he basically became physically abusive towards Kotaro's mother and him. Which, by the way, I don't think his parents were married because Kotaro's mother is buried with her maiden name, and she's never shown wearing a wedding ring when Kotaro's parents were still together, so I think they were a couple who accidentally had him. That's just my assumption for now anyway. It's possible his parents were pretty young and weren't mentally capable of handling a child to a point where it broke them both mentally. I mean, it's not unrealistic. Do you know how many articles and crime videos I've seen of parents mentally snapping because they had kids when they weren't emotionally ready? As for how Kotaro's father is now, it's hard for me to say whether or not he's capable of redemption. We see him aggressively trying to break into Kotaro's foster home to have custody of him again, but this also could be a parent desperate to have his child back. Considering he even hired a private investigator to find Kotaro, I'm assuming he's desperate to have him back in his life, but even Kotaro is worried he only wants him back to abuse him. If Kotaro's manga continues, I'd love to see the finale someday have a showdown between Kotaro's father and his new family at the apartment complex. Next is Kotaro's mother and the mystery around her death. This is pretty interesting because I've seen a lot of people online saying she died of a possible illness, but I don't think she did. The reason why is because I'd imagine Kotaro would have spoken about his mother showing signs of an illness. Instead, we see his mother is a very depressed woman who had some type of anxiety disorder, judging by the fact that she needed rubber gloves just to touch her own child. I think, and this is just from how severely depressed we've seen Kotaro's mother throughout the series, she might have had severe postpartum depression, and it only got worse and worse due to stress of her boyfriend becoming abusive and raising a toddler by herself. The reason I say postpartum depression is that in the manga, Kotaro has memories of his father calling his mother a useless parent from a pretty early stage in life, and that type of wording is usually something I always hear in cases of mothers with postpartum depression. Though we see she did love Kotaro since she shielded him from physical abuse even though she refused to touch him and tried to give him advice on how to stand up on his own, but it's very clear she mostly didn't care since she largely ignored him or just stared at her phone all day. If she were sickly, I think we would have seen flashbacks by now of Kotaro saying his mother had fainting spells or some other obvious sign someone is sick and dying like we see in every other show with characters who had sickly mothers that they don't know died. This is going to sound very dark and a possible trigger warning ahead, but I think Kotaro's mother took her own life. Although we see her with a suitcase, it could just be that she was trying to hide the fact that she was going to take her own life from Kotaro. And you may question how she got life insurance then if she took her own life, but in Japan, apparently it's fairly common for parents with financial instability to take their own lives so children can have a large sum of money. That's pretty fucked up, actually. Even though it's obvious Kotaro's mother didn't work due to depression and anxiety issues, I do doubt she took her own life for financial reasons, and instead it was just purely depression consuming her at that point. Which also explains why every adult who knows the truth refuses to tell Kotaro about what really happened to his mother. It's one thing to say she died of an illness out of her control, but it's a whole other thing to tell a toddler their own mother took her own life and basically abandoned them. No wonder his mother's lawyers don't want to say anything. I'd honestly be surprised if we found out she died of an illness, because gosh damn, every scene with Kotaro's mother screams of a mother severely struggling with mental illness who just couldn't take it anymore because she had no help, and Japan's already low view on those with mental health issues. Overall, I think Kotaro's parents were very young adults who fell in love and accidentally had a baby. Kotaro's mother likely had pre-existing anxiety issues that got worse and developed postpartum depression after Kotaro was born, and Kotaro's father was probably a high-strung man who was mostly a gentleman who grew anger issues after Kotaro was born due to stress of raising a baby and his girlfriend being mentally ill, so she was neglecting him altogether. Not saying all that to redeem Kotaro's father. I personally don't think physically abusive parents are capable of redemption in my eyes, but I think it'd be interesting to see Kotaro's father sometime later in the manga and watch his father slowly try to become a better man to his child. At the very least, it would be pretty awesome to see Kotaro beat the shit out of his father in a samurai-style showdown to prove how strong he is. This is all mostly my theory though, going from the Kotaro Lives Alone manga and anime series. I haven't seen the live-action series, but I imagine that's largely the same as the anime, but maybe a bit more vague on showing Kotaro suffered from abuse from his parents. That's about it from this video though. Just a neat little thing to do, and hey, it's been a while since I've made a theory video. You guys let me know down below what you think, and feel free to give me your own theories on Kotaro Lives Alone down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!